Leah Torres adjusted the strap of her modest navy blue uniform as she stepped through the doors of Maplewood Gardens, an upscale nursing home nestled in a quiet suburban neighborhood. The polished marble floors gleamed under soft chandeliers, and the scent of fresh flowers mingled with the faint aroma of gourmet coffee from the lounge. She kept her gaze low, moving with practiced ease among the chatting staff and affluent visitors in crisp suits and designer dresses. To her, this place was a world apart from her small apartment downtown. Her day began like any other, checking vital signs, helping residents with meals, and guiding the occasional wheelchair through sunlight-filled hallways. Leah's voice was soft yet steady as she greeted the elderly with respectful warmth. She cherished these moments, even if the walls around her whispered that she didn't belong. This calm shattered mid-morning as the resident lounge buzzed with celebration. Mrs. Abernathy, a poised woman in her 90s, was surrounded by family and staff, the centerpiece a cake adorned with delicate sugar roses. Conversations paused when Mrs. Abernathy's daughter, Evelyn, gasped and turned sharply toward Leah. "My mother's ring is missing," Evelyn declared, her voice sharp like a judge's gavel. "That ring, the one she wore at our wedding. Where is it, Leah?" Leah blinked, confusion and shock knitting her brow. I don't know, ma'am. I didn't see it." Evelyn's gaze narrowed. "Are you sure? Because only someone careless or worse would let something so precious vanish under their watch." Whispers spread. A nurse muttered, "Typical." Another visitor glanced away, shaking her head. The nursing home manager appeared quickly, pulling Leah aside. "You're suspended until we figure this out." "An apology to the family is expected," the manager said, voice low but firm. Leah's heart pounded as she left, the weight of accusation heavy on her shoulders. Innocent but humiliated, she walked away with downcast eyes, fighting to hold on to her dignity. Leah closed the door to her small apartment behind her, the familiar click sounding louder than usual in the silence. She sank onto the worn sofa, the threadbare fabric scratching her arms. The weight of the morning's events pressed down on her chest like a heavy stone. Her hands trembled slightly as she clasped them together, but no tears came. Not yet. The room was dimly lit by the afternoon sun filtering through thin curtains, casting long shadows on the faded walls. A half-empty cup of cold tea sat forgotten on the side table, and the hum of the city outside felt distant, disconnected from her reality. The humiliation of being accused of losing Mrs. Abernathy's ring, the ring that Madison had treasured for decades, gnawed at her. Leah replayed Evelyn's sharp words over and over, the cold certainty in her voice as she condemned Leah without a second thought. The whispers from the staff and visitors echoed in her mind, their judgments slicing deeper than any direct insult. She couldn't remember the last night she had slept peacefully. Her mind drifted back in time, to moments more forgiving than this. She saw herself years ago, hunched over a worn-out textbook in a cramped community college library. Her brow furrowed but her eyes bright with determination. Nursing was her dream, something she had fought for through every obstacle, every sacrifice. But life had thrown unexpected barriers her way. Her mother's illness had come suddenly. The woman who had raised Leah with steady hands and a fierce heart was now fragile, dependent, and in pain. Leah had dropped out of school to become her caregiver, putting her own ambitions on hold. Late nights kneeling by the bedside, coaxing her mother to swallow medicine or soothing her during restless fits of coughing. The nights stretched long and heavy, and Leah's dreams dimmed under the harsh light of necessity. There were days when she resented the life she lived, but most days, she simply carried on. Her younger brother had always been her bright spot, a boy with a spark and a future, pursuing college with scholarship money Leah had helped secure through second jobs and tight budgeting. When her mother passed, Leah was left with the weight of both grief and responsibility. She took up multiple caregiving jobs, moving from one facility to another, chasing stability. Recently, she had saved enough to enroll in advanced nursing certification classes, hoping to finally rise beyond the aide's role, to become a licensed nurse. But today, all those years of dedication crumbled in seconds. Leah's stomach twisted as she realized the extent of the damage. Her reputation, carefully built on kindness and professionalism, was now tattered. The label of careless, or worse, thief, would be hard to erase in such a small, close-knit community. She tried to eat dinner but could barely swallow the bland noodles she had prepared. Her phone buzzed once, an incoming text from her shift scheduler, but she ignored it, too numb to respond. She sat alone in the dim light, the quiet broken only by soft memories and the faint hum of distant traffic. Despite this, Leah's resolve flickered. She remembered her mother's words during difficult times: when the world feels unjust, let your actions be fairer. But in this moment, feeling powerless and isolated, justice seemed a foreign concept. Sleep refused to come. Leah's mind raced, stuck in an endless rewind of the day's events. Every step that led to her suspension played on loop: the party, the sudden cry about the missing ring, the accusations, the manager's stern face delivering the suspension, the cold eyes judging her as she left. In those moments, the contrast between the warmth she tried to embody and the harshness she'd been met with felt like a betrayal. The next morning, Leah woke with a dull ache inside. The shadows in her apartment seemed heavier, the world outside little kinder. Yet, somewhere beneath the fatigue and hurt, a stubborn strength pulsed faintly. She busied herself with the simplest tasks: washing dishes, tidying a corner of the room, but even mundane chores offered no comfort. A photo taped to her bathroom mirror caught her attention, a picture of her mother smiling softly, holding Leah's hand. She reached out and touched it, drawing a slow, steadying breath. Her days growing up had been filled with moments like this: quiet strength, unwavering care, hope despite hardship. Leah clung to the memory. She may have fallen further than she ever imagined, but she still had within her the will to rise. Her work at Maplewood Gardens had been an anchor, a hopeful step forward. Losing it felt like losing a part of herself. But losing her integrity? That was something different. It couldn't happen if she refused it. A week passed in a gray fog. Leah barely spoke, her usual cheerful greetings replaced by measured nods when she answered calls or texts. Friends from work reached out but heard only silence or vague refusals to talk. Her employer's office sent formal notices, but no one explained or offered support. The nursing home's name, once a symbol of new opportunity, was now linked to whispers and doubt. Each day stretched. She checked her phone compulsively, hoping for news, for a chance to clear her name, but it never came. Her brother called once, worried and frustrated, urging her to fight, but Leah was too weary to respond. She feared speaking out might only harden the walls around her. In the quiet moments between exhaustion and anxiety, Leah found herself clutching the small pendant her mother had given her, a simple silver cross, worn smooth from years of touch. It was a symbol of faith, hope, and the strength inherited from a woman who sacrificed everything. Leah stared at it until her eyes grew heavy. Somewhere inside, beneath the layers of hurt, the feelings of isolation and anger, a quiet conviction began to form. She knew she was innocent. And maybe, just maybe, she would find a way to show it. Leah sat on the edge of her bed late one evening, the dim light from her bedside lamp casting a warm glow on her face. Her hands trembled slightly as she scrolled through her phone, restless and unable to sleep. The events at Maplewood Gardens played through her mind, but amid the tangled recollections, a small detail flickered in her memory, something that didn't quite fit. During the birthday party, she had overheard Evelyn arguing softly with another family member about the nanny arriving late. Flustered, carrying a bag full of disorganized items. Evelyn's voice hadn't been loud, but Leah distinctly remembered it because it had struck her as unusual in the midst of the celebration. Why would Evelyn care about the nanny's punctuality so intensely at that moment? Most puzzles rest on a misplaced piece, Leah thought. Maybe this was hers. Her heart quickened. The timeline Evelyn insisted on didn't add up. The ring was said to have gone missing during the party, supposedly while Leah was helping in the corridor. But the nanny, still unnamed and largely invisible in the background, had been forgotten until now. The next morning Leah dialed the number for Maplewood Gardens' administrative office cautiously. "Hello, this is Leah Torres," she began, voice steady despite the nervous knot inside. "I wanted to discuss the ring incident again. There's a detail that might have been overlooked." The receptionist put her on hold. Footsteps echoed. The voice that came on was cool and measured, the nursing home manager. "We've concluded the investigation, Ms. Torres. There is nothing more to discuss. We're confident the matter has been handled appropriately." Leah swallowed hard but pressed on, "I understand. But I overheard that Evelyn said the nanny was running late and wasn't fully organized that day. Could that be relevant? The timelines don't quite match." A brief silence. "I'm sorry, Leah. We have no plans to reopen the case. Our priority is the well-being of our residents." Despite the polite refusal, Leah felt a spark flicker. She needed proof. Determined to get to the bottom of it, Leah decided to visit the nursing home herself, but not as an employee. She wanted to be invisible, to observe without drawing attention. She arrived early one morning, blending into the steady flow of staff arriving for their shifts. Her heart thudded, every moment bristling with nervous energy. The polished floors, familiar yet charged with unwelcome memories, felt colder than before. Leah made her way toward the security office, an unassuming space tucked by the administrative wing. She hoped the guard on duty might be sympathetic. "Hi," Leah said softly to a middle-aged security guard named Jacob, someone she remembered as quiet and kind. "I wonder if I could ask a favor. I can't talk much about it here, but it's important." Jacob's face softened with recognition. "Leah, right? I heard what happened. I know it wasn't your fault." Leah's throat tightened. "Thank you. Listen, do you know if there's any footage from the resident rooms during the party? I remember the lounge, but I wasn't sure about the rooms." Jacob hesitated, glancing around the office. "There are cameras in some rooms, yes, for safety, to monitor residents in case of falls or emergencies. It's usually off limits, but maybe, if it helps clear things up." Leah's heart leapt. "Would you be willing to show me? Just to see who was in the room around the time the ring was missing?" Jacob nodded slowly. "I'll see what I can do. Meet me here after hours. I can't promise much, but maybe there's something." That evening, as twilight settled, Leah returned, her nerves coiled tightly. Jacob greeted her, keeping a watchful eye on the empty corridors. In the dim security room, he played back the footage from the residence suite during the time of the party's disruption. Leah's eyes sharpened as she watched the screen, every detail amplified by hope. There, on the recording, was the resident's nanny, a woman Leah recognized vaguely from staff conversations, as she entered the room moments before the ring was reported missing. She moved with a deliberate ease, pretending to organize the bedside table. Leah's breath caught when the nanny's hand slipped casually into her pocket, the affectionate attention to the jewelry betraying a hidden motive. As the nanny left, the footage showed no one else near the bedside until later, when Leah's own silhouette appeared in the corridor, distant from the room. Leah's phone shook in her hand as she quickly captured the segment on video, heart drumming a rapid rhythm of vindication. Jacob leaned forward, his voice low but steady. "I think this is what you were looking for." Leah nodded, warmth flooding her chest where dread had lived moments before. "Yes. This is it. Thank you." The enormity of the evidence overwhelmed her for a moment, but Leah knew this was only the beginning. Having proof wasn't enough, she had to ensure that the truth would be heard. Jacob opened a drawer and pulled out a folded map of the facility. "If you need to show this to anyone, better be prepared." Leah nodded gratefully and left with a new purpose burning within. That night, she sat again in her apartment, watching the video on her phone, replaying the nanny's deliberate actions. The indignation scarred the memory of her wrongful suspension with fresh fire. But now, beneath the sting, was hope, fragile and rising. Leah resolved to confront the next hurdle. How to bring this evidence forward? How to restore her name in a place built on appearances and assumptions? She understood the challenge clearly. She was a simple nursing aide, a quiet woman in a world that had already judged her. Her voice alone might not carry far. But this time, she had something undeniable. She wouldn't be silent. Leah clutched the small tablet tightly as she entered the Maplewood Gardens lobby once more, her uniform freshly pressed and her hair neatly pulled back. She had been invited to care for a different resident during an upcoming family gathering, a chance she chose to seize not just as a caregiver but as a woman determined to reclaim her dignity. Her footsteps echoed softly against the marble floor, each step weighted with quiet resolve. The familiar faces of the nursing home staff greeted her with cautious curiosity, whispers trailing behind her like shadows. The manager's gaze lingered a moment too long, no doubt weighing the consequences of this unexpected return. The common lounge was a gleaming space, filled with sunlight streaming through tall windows. A trio of well-dressed guests sipped champagne near the grand piano, and soft music played. Leah set to work, attending to the resident with calm professionalism, while her mind churned, preparing for the moment she would speak. As the family members and staff gathered for the small celebration, Leah took a deep breath and approached Evelyn first, the woman who had accused her so harshly. Evelyn's posture was rigid, her eyes cold but guarded. "Mrs. Abernathy, may I have a moment?" Leah asked quietly, voice steady. Evelyn turned sharply. "What are you doing here?" Leah met her gaze without faltering. "I came to show you something, a video from the night of the party." Evelyn's lips pressed thin, but she did not speak. Leah tapped the tablet screen, and the gathered group turned their attention as the footage began to play. The nanny appeared, moving into the resident's room, her actions suspicious, pocketing the ring with casual intent before leaving. Murmurs rippled through the room as the undeniable proof unfolded before them. Leah watched faces shift, shock, disbelief, then quiet outrage. Evelyn's expression tightened, then flickered with panic. "Wait," Evelyn said abruptly, rising. "That can't be." But the visuals spoke louder than words. Whispers grew louder among the staff, some shifting from judgment of Leah to whispered accusations. The nursing home manager stepped forward, his voice firm but measured. "This footage changes everything. We will take the necessary steps immediately." Evelyn's face flushed crimson as she glanced nervously at those around her. The veneer of control cracked beneath the weight of exposure. Leah's voice aimed to cut through the tension. "I was wrongly accused. I didn't lose the ring. This proves it." The room's atmosphere transformed. The subtle judgments and prejudice evaporated, replaced by a dawning respect for Leah's courage and honesty. Some from the staff who had been wary now nodded silently, recognizing the injustice. The resident, Mrs. Abernathy, looked on quietly, a faint smile touching her lips as she turned the ring over in her hands again, safe once more. Jacob, the security guard who had helped Leah, stood nearby with a reserved nod. He caught Leah's eye and offered a small, approving smile. Evelyn, now exposed, faltered. I don't know what to say. This is shocking. Leah met her head on. It's only shocking because you were quick to blame me without evidence. The director of the nursing home stepped forward, addressing the room with clear authority. We will be terminating the nanny immediately. This breach of trust is unacceptable. The crowd's mood shifted palpably, the tables had turned. Leah felt a swell of relief, but also a deep satisfaction in seeing the truth set free, not through anger, but through facts. The gathering disbanded with an undertone of murmured apologies and soft thanks, and Leah found herself approached by several staff members and families. One elderly nurse, her voice soft but warm, said, "Thank you for standing up, Leah. We should have listened." Leah nodded, the burden she'd carried lifting bit by bit. As she left the lounge, her steps felt lighter, caught a moment moving her closer to the respect she deserved, beyond appearances and assumptions. Her heart beat steadily, grounded in quiet pride. She wasn't invisible anymore. The news spread quickly through Maplewood Gardens. The nanny's dismissal came swiftly, the management unanimous in their decision after the video evidence had been presented. The woman who had once appeared as an inconspicuous background figure was now the center of a scandal that rippled through the community. Evelyn Abernathy's social standing took an awkward hit as questions were raised about how such a vital detail could be overlooked and allowed to fester, causing needless damage to an innocent Aide. Leah sat in the staff break room days later, a quiet smile curving her lips as the nursing home director across the table unfolded a neatly printed letter. "Leah, we owe you a formal apology," he began, his voice sincere. "Your integrity, patience, and dedication to the residents have always been strong. This incident was regrettable on our part. We want you back with us, and with a promotion to supervisory aide, overseeing the very residents you care about." Leah's eyes shimmered briefly with restrained emotion as she accepted the letter. The promotion wasn't just a job upgrade, it was validation after weeks of doubt and darkness. "I appreciate the opportunity to return," Leah said carefully. "And I hope my experience can serve as a reminder that sometimes judgments are too quick." The director nodded thoughtfully, clearly aware of the unspoken lessons. Meanwhile, Evelyn Abernathy kept her distance. The strained apologies she ventured were met with quiet politeness but no warmth. Leah had no desire to be swept into a circle of forced forgiveness. The incident was not a map for restoring family bonds but a warning about assumptions and consequences. The nursing home staff rallied around Leah with newfound respect. Some of the earliest skeptics paused to offer gentle acknowledgments in passing, their tone now shaded with regret. The day Leah returned to Maplewood Gardens was marked by a subtle but unmistakable shift. The staff's smiles were easier, their greetings more genuine. Residents noticed and appreciated Leah's stronger presence and watchful care. Jacob, the security guard, gave her a brief nod filled with the quiet pride that comes with knowing the truth was uncovered because of mutual trust. As Leah moved through the halls, her head held a little higher, she wore the badge of her promotion with a humility that spoke of inner strength, not flaunted pride. Outside, the sun cast a warm glow over Maplewood Gardens. The garden paths remained as serene as ever, but inside, quiet transformations were underway. Leah paused near a window, looking out to the blooming flowers that seemed to echo her own growth. The quiet woman who once had been invisible to many within those walls was now a respected member of the community. The doubts cast upon her had faded, replaced by tangible proof of her character. For Leah, this was not just about clearing her name, it was about reclaiming her place and earning the respect her commitment demanded. With every step she took from that day forward, Leah knew she carried more than her duties, she carried the strength of truth and the dignity of perseverance. As she rounded the corner toward the resident rooms, the soft sounds of conversation and laughter filled the air. Leah smiled gently, no longer just an aide in the background but a woman recognized and valued. Her journey through humiliation, doubt, and resilience had led her here. And now, with head held high, Leah was ready for whatever came next.